What's up, guys? Wagaruji here, coming back at you with the second part of the Isekai bracket I went ahead and did with Trapgodsenpai. As usual, if you disagree with anything in this video, definitely go ahead and make sure to let me know down in the comments. But otherwise, I'm not going to waste a ton of your time here. Let's just get straight into it. All right, so we are now in the quarterfinals for our Isekai bracket. So we'll start it off with a decently good matchup here. That time I got reincarnated as a slime versus Log Horizon. Now, it's really hard for me to go ahead and throw any shade at Log Horizon, honestly. This is a great show, and what it did for the isekai genre is undeniable. You know, this introduced a lot of people to the I got trapped in a video game, I was sucked into another world genre in general. Um, but in all honesty, I just think Slime is, that time I got reincarnated as Slime is a fresh take on that. It's done better. It looks better. The story's more interesting. The characters are a lot more relatable or cooler. It's got a heavier power fantasy overlay to it. It doesn't lean as heavily into the harem aspect of most isekais, which I think is really good because that turns a lot of people off from it. You know, harem is a very niche category of. It has a very niche fan base, I should say, which I'm not a huge part of, but that's just something I come to expect from them. So I just find Slime to be the better version of an isekai when it comes to these two. But Log Horizon is clearly a classic, so no hate to that one. But I'm gonna have to go to Slime here. But we'll see if Trap God Senpai's got a different opinion.
Okay, so the first point I want to make here is I did not appreciate all the harem slander you were going out there with. High School DxD, probably the best show of all time. Probably, like at least top two, and I don't think it's two. So after we got that out of the way, I do agree mostly with what you said before. I Log Horizon was fun. It was a good show. It was like it made, like we said earlier, like Shiro's super smart. Like it was really fun seeing him like think his way out of situations and coming up with all these schemes and plans. But I think that since there was such a focus on like the mental aspect of it, like his plans and his plots he was formulating, that I think it was a more serious sort of show than Slime, and I'm not sure that was good in this matchup. If that's what you're looking for, that's a great show for you, like a more serious take on everything. But Slime was just like a funner show. Like it was everything about it's fun. Like he's just a little blue slimy guy jumping around. Like he ends up taking the appearance of anyone he like devours. He could do that. And I think one of the coolest things about Slime is that when he gives a name to some of the people that follow him, he'll name them, and it actually boosts their power and helps them like evolve as a species. So you'll see these little like goblins he's taking care of in a village, and he'll name them. And then once he names them, they become like bigger, stronger, more powerful. And so I think that's really cool, like a really cool thing that not a lot of shows have is just like an evolution type thing. I think it reminds me of like the first time you played like a Pokemon game or something, right? And you're like, hey, man, I wonder what the Charmander's gonna evolve into. Like, oh, it gets to a Charizard. That's so cool. And I think it's cool going throughout the show knowing that the people he brings in to like his group and his followers, that once he names them, you're like, I wonder what they're gonna turn into. Like, what are they gonna become? They're gonna be cooler and cooler. And then Rimuru himself is just super overpowered, and it's fun to watch all the stuff he does. Like he has like full heat and cold resistance. Like he can devour anything and take its powers and abilities. Like just so much cool stuff he can do. So I think this one's pretty easy. We're gonna give it to Slime.
100%. We're just going to go ahead and casually brush aside the fact that Trap God admitted that he enjoys hentai, but yeah, definitely Slime is the winner in
No,
this bracket
no,
in my
I'm
mind.
tired of the slander. High School DxD, I watch it for the plot.
All right, so anyway, God, let's go ahead and get just you starting us on this second bracket in our
Okay,
quarterfinals.
so this one I think is a good matchup in the aspect that I think there's a lot of similarities between the two shows. Um, Not necessarily in any like specific sense, but like they're both going like the How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. He's like his character is like his game character, the Demon Lord, like super overpowered. Our main character Momonga is like just super overpowered skeleton mage, and they both go into their worlds, the game worlds or wherever they get summoned to. And I think it's a lot of fun to see how like overpowered they are and how strong they are in these new worlds. But Overlord just has so much more depth to it. Like there you can tell they spent a lot of time in like the world building aspects like the first season. And it's not even like it drags a lot either. Like they get to the point, but they also build like a cool world for you. Like in How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, you see him go on his little adventure, but I just think Overlord has like a great grasp on like the world building aspect and not doing it at a creepingly slow pace. Like you get into Overlord, you see all the people. I see him marking it off already. But you get into Overlord, you see all of his like henchmen, all the people that work for like his guild, each having their own like distinct personalities. Like you see the world he created through all of his time with his friends in the game, and you kind of just branch out from that world they created into so many different like and fun adventures and like sort of quests he goes on, I suppose, like to go figure out more information about the world, why he's trapped there. Overlord's just an awesome show, and I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the win for that one right now.
All right, so as I already said, I agree with everything Trap God Senpai said there. And as I personally said in the first round, Overlord is actually my favorite anime. I'm a huge fan of the idea of following what I consider to be the villain as the main character. And I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Like, he is the protagonist. Ein Zulgaun is the protagonist from our perspective, but he is literally using evil, demented, horrible means to go ahead and just conquer an entire world while constantly lying and manipulating two people of this world to get what he wants. And I just find that so interesting. There are other shows out there that do this, but there's not many. And I think Overlord just does it incredibly well, as well as being a part of my favorite genre, Isekai. I, it's just, there could not be a better show out there right now for me. I think Overlord easily takes this win over How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. And if you're a big fan of the isekai genre like me, you would be aware that, I mean, Trap God here pointed it out kind of without actually saying it, but How Not to Summon a Demon Lord is literally a copy paste. It's designed to be like Overlord to cash in on the fact that this show was so good when it came out and so popular. They decided to make How Not to Summon a Demon Lord like again to cash in on that, but it's more based in the harem, which again, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I mean, there's no comparing it anyway. Overlord just has the better story, better plot, better characters, way more depth, as Trap God already went into. So this is an easy win in my mind, and we'll just go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so next up here, we're back to Sword Art Online and Shield Hero. So I'm going to be starting this one off. Trap God is clearly the bigger Sword Art fan, but I still think that Sword Art easily takes this win. Shield Hero is a great show. I can't really throw any shade at it, but in my opinion, Sword Art was just the better isekai when it came to these two. Shield Hero has a cult following, but I am not a member of that. I think that Sword Art just had better action. It was more suspenseful. It led you along a lot better compared to Shield Hero, whereas everybody just kind of treats him really poorly, and it's really irritating because we're just watching somebody who's actually a good person and trying to help people compared to all of the people around him who are actually terrible, just treating him poorly and all being against him. I don't find that very fun. Whereas Sword Art Online, we're literally following the main character in his journey to become the traditional power fantasy, stronger than anybody else character, which is just such a good time. How can you not be interested in that? So for me, this is an easy dub for Sword Art, but we'll go ahead and pass it on to Trap God because he knows way more about the show than I do.
Okay, so I agree with mostly with what you said. I think that Shield Hero is like a sort of a special anime a little bit because I think before like the huge craze of Demon Slayer and like Jujutsu Kaisen, obviously those are two shows that crashed into the mainstream. Anime has only recently becoming a lot more popular. I'd say in the last about maybe 5 years or so, it's become like it started skyrocketing in popularity. So it used to be just like weebs and like all these like all the people who are nerdy and stuff. Like I've always liked anime, but
Yeah, like me and
that's was the
you.
general that was the general consensus beforehand. Like less than 5 or more than 5 years ago, I feel like the general consensus was like, oh, they watch anime, that's weird. Like they must be all nerdy and stuff. But that I think those two shows definitely like helped change that view. So they like just like I said earlier, they just like skyrocketed into the
Oh, One
mainstream.
Punch Man as
I
well.
think
You're
I think
100%
yeah,
right.
One Punch Man as well. I think Shield Hero did that a little, not to the extent obviously at all, but I was one of those shows that I started seeing people talk about like on Twitter, like
Mm,
people like on a Twitter account like that I don't follow like a bunch of anime people or anything on there. But on that Twitter account, I was seeing people talk about Shield Hero, and I think that it was the sort of beginning, like it was a marker for what was to come.
hmm
Because this show did get a lot of popularity, like a lot more than a typical like season of anime would get. Um, and so I think it helped a lot in that aspect, and that's why I think it's a sort of a special show.
hmm
But like I said earlier, Sword Art Online so sick. It's just such a sick show. It's I think it's like super cool because everyone wants full dive VR to be real. Like there's not a single person that doesn't want full dive
100%.
VR games, and it's so cool to like just look at it as like kind of a futuristic story, I guess. But like just the idea of putting on the helmet, going into the game, and being to like just being able to grind mobs. Like Kirito was killing like boars and leveling up and like just slicing them with his sword. Like it's just such a fun idea. Like
Elon,
such a
please.
yeah. Please pause the cat girls. Give us full dive. Um,
No, bring the
but it's
cat
just like
girls too.
such it's just such a fun idea, like, to be able to insert into a video game with a headset. You're not like I know he's trapped, but that wasn't, like, the aspect of the show. It was because somebody trapped him in there, not because the video game, like, malfunctioned or because he died and was reborn in the video game. Like, he eventually gets out of the game. So it's, like, it's just such a fun like, a fun story, I think. And I think if we take away the fact that when you die in the game, you die in real life, I think it's a situation that almost all of us would have so much fun in. Like just being to full dive into a game, grind mobs, be some crazy dual sword wielder, just killing all the bosses. It's just such a fun story. And so that's why I'm gonna give it the win.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said there. And yeah, this is this is an easy dub. I'm sorry to all the Shield Hero fans out there, but this
It was
is
a good show. We both liked it.
it's a good show. We're not saying we didn't like it, but we prefer Sword Art Online to Shield Hero.
Hmm. Unlike ReZero and No Game No Life, terrible shows. But okay, I'll go ahead and start the next one off. We got the Saga of Tanya the Evil versus Mushoku Tensei. Like I said earlier, not a big fan of Tanya the Evil. But Mushoku Tensei is gonna take the win for me here. I see you already clicking it off, but Mushoku Tensei was good, awesome show. I think it was isekai done right. If that makes any sense to you guys, it wasn't like it wasn't an obvious like cash grab trying to take up on the isekai genre. I think it was a well written story. There was a lot of fun, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So I understand like why Trap God Senpai went ahead and said that, but just to clarify this for any Saga of Tanya the Evil fans, he's not saying that Tanya the Evil was a cash grab, as he is not super well versed
Yeah,
in
no,
it. He
I
hasn't seen
wasn't
it.
saying that.
But yeah, I definitely agree. Mushoku Tensei is like, I clicked it right as he said it at the beginning because we both have the same opinion here. Mushoku Tensei is definitely the better one. Saga of Tanya the Evil, while being a really good isekai and honestly a great show in my mind, is not better than Mushoku Tensei. There was just way more effort. It's I don't like Mushoku Tensei in terms of being an isekai might is probably one of the best. Like if not top 3, like top 5. And I don't think there are many out there that would disagree with that. The show it's beautiful to look at. The plot is insanely fun. It follows most of the tropes, but it doesn't shove it down your throat like a lot of these other ones. Um, it's in on par with that time I got reincarnated as a slime in my mind in terms of how the story was done. I don't think they're like the same show or anything, but in terms of a fresh look at isekai in general and doing the same thing but differently and more uniquely and better, I feel like that they're both on par in terms of how they went ahead and tackled it. But in terms of putting this up against the Saga of Tanya the Evil, Mushoku Tensei takes it no contest, even though I am a huge fan of Tanya the Evil here. So I guess, yeah, we'll just leave it at that and go ahead and move on to the next one.
Semifinals.
All right. So this one I feel like might be the closest thing to a real debate that we have, or like a close call. But obviously, I'm going with Overlord here. As I've stated numerous times, it is my favorite anime and in my favorite genre. Slime is definitely, even though I did just say that Mushoku Tensei and Slime are like equal in terms of presentation and quality, Slime is my number two in terms of isekai shows, right after Overlord. So for me, this is a clear win, being my favorite show and everything. But I don't think Slime falls far behind in quality or presentation at all. It is a very close number two. But we'll go ahead and pass it over to Trap God Senpai here. I don't have much more to say, so we'll see if he's got anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is really tough for me. Like I for these two, I think I hold them like is about as close to equal as you can get. So I honestly don't even like want to pick a winner between these two. Like I think they're both extremely good, and I think they both are like different stories. Obviously, they're not like copy pasted like the same story like a lot of the other ones are. Like, I think they both have like a distinct like subgenre to them, that like helps differentiate them from other isekais. Um, but I was thinking about it when you were talking, and I was trying to think in my head, like, because I'm so dead even on these, is like, which one am I looking more forward to the next season? And they're honestly, it's the exact same. Like, I'm super excited when a new episode of either of these comes out. Like, I'll watch it as soon as it comes out. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm even on these ones. So give me point 0.5 points for each one, and I think Overlord's gonna take it with your vote.
Yeah. So in all honesty, I feel like I don't think I could have said it better. In all honesty, looking at all four of our final choices, I feel like all of these are extremely unique, like have their own subgenres within them.
Yeah, compared to each other, like I
Yeah.
think we did a good like the way the bracket
The way
ended up turning
everything
out.
came out,
I
yeah.
think the top four are distinctly different from each other.
While all being within like the same genre, I feel like all of these present something new to the genre, like Slime and Overlord, while both being isekais, like they're both such unique shows. It's a really hard choice, but seeing as how you're very even on both of them and I am staunchly for Overlord winning this one, I am going to go ahead and just give it to that one to avoid a coin
Yep,
flip. But
sounds
again,
good to me.
like even for me, this being my favorite, this was like it's like out of 10, like this one's 9.999 and this one's 10. Like they're both so good. And I feel like we're
Yeah,
saying this a lot for a lot of these final bracket ones, but it's just so true. Like the further you get into isekais, the like I feel like there's nobody that would deny. Like there's a ton of these that are just so good, and depending on what your preference is, like any of these could be the number one spot. But we'll
yeah.
go ahead and move on to our final uh, bracket here before we get into the actual finals, and we'll have Trap God Senpai tell us why Sword Art Online is better.
Okay, so as if Wagaruji could read my mind, my vote's gonna end up going to Sword Art Online. I know that's gonna piss off a lot of people in the comments or whatever, but I think I just Sword Art Online holds a special place like in my heart just because of how like super cool I thought it was. Like most at that point when I watched Sword Art Online for the first time, I had seen a couple anime. Like I think the first couple ones I watched when I knew it was anime, like I'm like, okay, I'm actively watching anime now. It was like my freshman year in college. And we were with a couple of my friends in the dorms. We watched Akame Got Kill, we watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and then we started watching Hunter x Hunter. And so like based on those three, it's like you would at my that point in my life, I thought like all anime was just like, okay, these crazy worlds and everyone's fighting, right? And like I said earlier, it was just so cool to see Sword Art Online like in a game, like a video game. I love video games. Like I love playing games all the time. And so I didn't know that was like a possibility for like a show. Like I know video games are fun to play, but like I didn't know if anyone would like a show about video games. And also to point out shows about video games, The King's Avatar, super good. You guys should check that one out.
Okay.
But Sword Art Online, yeah, it was like opened my eyes to like the infinite possibilities like for anime shows. And so I'm gonna give it the winner for Mushoku Tensei. Mushoku Tensei was super fun to watch. It was a good show, but Sword Art Online is just better for me. So that's getting my vote.
All right. So, out of respect for Trap God going ahead and letting me pick Overlord over Slime here, I am going to go ahead and give Sword Art the win, but I personally do prefer Mushoku Tensei in this bracket. Sword Art Online is great, but whereas Sword Art Online has one season where everybody will vouch and say was incredible, even if they, are one of those people who lie and say the whole show is terrible. We know who you are. You know who you are.
Yeah,
Um, it only has that one season that you can definitively say was like everybody liked it. Like no matter what they say, everybody enjoyed it. Everybody wanted to be in that world. Everybody wanted the chance to experience that. it has that one season. Where Mushoku Tensei is still ongoing, whereas Sword Art Online is as well. But none of Mushoku Tensei has been bad. So I feel like if it were just me making this bracket, Mushoku Tensei would have won. But like I said, out of respect for Trap God letting me go ahead and push Overlord into the finals there, I'm going to let him put his favorite Isekai up there as well so that we can get a good debate going. Again, all of these shows are extremely unique, and the semifinal bracket here really just came down to our personal preference where or to push whatever was left into the finals there. So we'll go ahead and push Sword Art Online up there, and then we'll get into the only real debate we'll probably have this entire bracket. And Trap God, for the final one, let's go ahead and have you start it off. I want to hear what you've got to say.
Alrighty. And then since we're nearing the end here, I want to point out that if you guys disagree with any of our decisions that we made, you can go ahead and type in the comments below. I'm sure Wagaruji had some incorrect opinions, but if you come from me, I'll let you know why you're wrong. Much
Okay.
like how you're wrong if you liked No Game No Life or ReZero. But back to the point, back to the story. We got the finals here: Overlord versus Sword Art Online. It seems a bit disingenuous that it's a 5 and 14 seed because he shows so good, but it was randomized. Um, I we know where my vote's going. I'm going for Sword Art Online. It's like for everything I mentioned before. It's like to me, it's a special show, and I think it was just one of the funnest shows to watch. It wasn't as well written as Overlord, like not even close. Like the plot wasn't as deep. It didn't have like as many good, well written characters or anything like that. But just the amount of fun you have watching it, it's just like I don't know how to say it. It's just a fun show to watch. Like you have a good time watching it, and you don't have to have like the perfectly written plot. You don't have to have perfectly written characters to have fun watching something. Like Sword Art Online didn't have any of that, but it was fun. It was just a fun show, and I'm voting for it. So let's go ahead and hear the disagreeers or the disagreeer. I'll pass it over to Wagaruji here.
All right. Well, Trap God basically made my argument for me. Honestly, Overlord is better written, has better characters, better story, and as well, the only point that he went ahead and made for Sword Art Online was that the show is fun. But I think we can both agree here that Overlord is fun too. No matter what horrible, messed up thing you expect from the show, it goes ahead and does that. But it also gives you that classic anime trope of the main character being super overpowered and becoming an adventurer, going on crazy adventures, meeting other people. But then when you least expect it, it pulls a Game of Thrones on you and kills all of his new friends so that he has to get angry and commit horrible atrocities to avenge them. He takes over a kingdom because he tricked people into invading his base just because he wanted to test out the defenses. He basically every time somebody sees him in that show, they immediately assume that he is the god of death. I think it is incredibly fun. It hits the power fantasy trope perfectly. With very few of the characters in the show, we get a small harem, which is standard for isekai, but at least it's there for the people who enjoy that sort of stuff. We get the classic funny of everybody thinks that the main character is smarter than they are, but in actuality, he secretly is. He just doesn't believe in himself. I think Overlord is just more fun. It's a newer story. It's a better story. The characters are better. And in my opinion, this is a clear win for Overlord. But, I did this
Yeah.
on purpose. So
Um.
I've got the coin
Well,
ready.
no, no. You know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and concede this, and I think I only need to say one word for my reasoning. Albedo. I think we can give
On
Overlord the
God,
win. I
Albedo.
think I think we could give it the win.
Oh my
I
God.
my Sword Art Online pick was a bit of a homer pick. I just like the show, so I want to see it go as far as it
Bro,
could.
Papa
But
Musk, this is why I
SAO,
need full
I'm not
dive.
sure SAO has an albedo, so I think we'll give the win to
Dude,
Overlord.
I'm gonna throw that full dive on and dive into Albedo's cheeks. On God. All right.
You
Anyway,
sicko.
yeah, I don't know who was screaming in the background. That was crazy.
That
But
was
yeah.
weird.
Anyway, thanks for going ahead and conceding this. I don't think that there are many out there that will deny for this final
Yeah.
choice here. There are definitely people that are going to disagree with some of our other choices. But hey, that's what the comments are for. So definitely go ahead and leave that down there for us. But otherwise, I just want to say thank you to Trap God Senpai for going ahead and participating in this bracket here. I'll definitely be leaving links to his channel down in the description. And as well, we did go ahead and record another bracket going over what the best shonen anime of all time is, which will be uploaded over on his channel there. So definitely go ahead and check that out. But otherwise, I've been Wagaruji. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.